what I should talk about when I gave Eric this title. So what I'm going to talk about is some design decisions that can affect the creator's will to work on the game later in the process. And then later I will give some examples how badly you can fail these design decisions. I have made really many games in my life, and most of them have failed really gloriously. So I have very many examples. So here's the usual motivation curve for a game. In the beginning, you can see here, it's like a motivation is really high. You really love the game. You want everyone to see it. You love your game. You love yourself. And then when you proceed, the motivation starts to slump. And okay, this might vary from creator to creator, but I think that with the good design decisions in the beginning, you can affect a lot how much motivation you have later. So let's start. One is the game idea, like the inspiration, the thing you start with, like I want to make a game like Mario, yeah. Then there's a planning where you think about things like level design and the story and characters, and then there's base work, and that I mean the base code engine you make before you start making any levels or something. I think I have to skip the last part because I don't really have that much time. So let's go to game idea. I think there are 4 main categories where game ideas can be put. First, the rip-off. So you take an existing idea and copy it. That sucks, don't do it. Then there's the really original idea, where you take something nobody has ever done, like time manipulation in Braid, and it's great. Then there's using an existing idea but trying to change it so that it feels original. Like there are many indie games that use this. They take like Space Invaders and add something like physics to make it interesting again. It works sometimes doesn't. And then there's connecting many pre-made ideas to make something really interesting. And we've seen a lot of examples of this as well. And I searched the net to get some examples of each of these. And for the rip-off, we have Super Stereo. I searched for some Mario fan games, and there are a lot of these, also for Zelda and other famous franchises. And then there's Braid. Braid is just Braid, okay? And then there's Hydora, which is a really great game. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's a very classic idea, a shmup, as we call it. But they have some their own ideas, and they have a really nice design, so it doesn't feel old and boring. And then for the final, there's Spelunky, which is a really great game, but it doesn't actually have that many original ideas. It just connects old ideas and, of course, some new ideas to make a really fresh experience. It's a great example of using older ideas to make a good game. Then there's, usually I write ideas down as text before starting to make. It's like when an inspiration hits me, usually I can tell it by words. So here's a futuristic shooter with ninjas and RPG element, hot babes. Really, that would make a good game, but it's a good example. Then there's adventure platform starring plumber wearing red and mushrooms. This might have been original sometime, not anymore. Then I have 2 bad examples of text. Sorry, I'm quite sure I'm going to go over time. So Mario likes it with guns. I think if you can call your game idea such that you can take an existing game and call it that, like I want to make a game like Mario, then the idea sucks. Don't use it, because you know that when you have an idea, I want to make a game like Mario, you really have to work to not make it too similar. It's really easy to fall in a trap and make really a clone. So don't use it. Oh no, it's really ambitious ideas. These are very usual. And then there's planning. I'm going to skim this through very fastly, but this mostly concerns those really ambitious ideas. So you have gigantic class, you're enormous, there's a huge planes, stuff like this. You're making an RPG game. So you start planning, you make really big stuff. You want to make a great game with a lot of stuff, all these cities and dungeons and stuff. And it doesn't work because it's too big. you better make stuff like this and then actually plan what everything is so that everything has a meaning. Then there's a very usual Metroidvania. You make a huge map. Like I made this for actual game. This is a thing for my old game. And I made this without thinking anything. I just made a map and it's a cool map. And this is actually better than a map I showed yearly about the RPG because it actually had bosses and other stuff planned. It has stuff. It could work. But on the other hand, it's places that are really useless. It doesn't work if I made this a game. And probably I wouldn't have the motivation to work this to the end. So, and also, okay, let's skip this. And this also, it's like code well. If you plan well and have a good idea, you must code well because in the end you'll notice if you have missed something. And then for the examples, sorry, I really have to make this short because we have only 5 minutes and I'm already late.
I feel so bad for making you go so fast.
Yeah, sorry. And here's my first example. So, what game is this? It's Cave Story. Great. Another. What game is this? It's Knifless Games. We didn't hear first. So you see, I've been really prone to coping ideas. I really hate myself for that. Don't do it. And then there's maybe many of you haven't heard about this, but Johnny RPG, a game I really like, and I really wanted to copy. I made like 3 copies of it. None of them finished because I lost my motivation because the idea was bad. Copying is bad. And there's in planning how to do things wrong. Okay, I made this map for a game. It's like the map is finished, and when I had made the map, I started adding things. It's like it was all empty, and then I started, okay, I want to make a game about this map. And then it didn't work because I didn't design the map for the game. I designed the game for the map. So it sucked. I really like this map. It's a good map, but it's not a good game. And then there's another game. I really like this. As usual, I worked it on some months. I really like the graphics. I kind of like the gameplay. Sorry. It's only going to take a minute more. Sorry. But it didn't work because I didn't plan it. The code was really bad. And then there's one more thing. Game like an Exile, an old game. Many haven't heard about it. I like the graphics. I like the planning. I had a good idea how it could work. But I didn't code it so very well. So in the end, I had to get great assets, great everything else. But then I noticed that the engine sucks. So I couldn't continue because I would have to recode it from scratch. And that doesn't work. Thanks.